with a playlist where I go through this devotional on a regular basis. If you're trying to just get closer, you feel me, in your walk with yourself and get closer to the man upstairs, go ahead, check that out. Or if you just think that I'm an interesting motherfucker, I be talking that, you feel me, go subscribe to me on YouTube. I drop tutorials on there. I drop the long form content from here on there. And I drop relationship content and dating content, relationship advice, self-help, improvement advice, whatever the fuck. Sometimes it's just comedy. I look at life like this. We're all multifaceted, right? And so for me personally, when it comes to my profession, I'm a professional actor. I'm a professional photographer, videographer, and I'm a professional musician who also helps other people make music. With that being said, people ask me about acting all the time. People ask me about making music, about getting into the music business all the time. And people also talk to me just about emotional and mental health and well-being. I have my life coach license. I've taken extensive classes and have spent over 5-6 years working on emotional regulation, spiritual clarity, spiritual alignment, all of this stuff, all of this good shit, right? So if you like anything you hearing from my mouth right now, just subscribe to my YouTube channel. I promise you won't regret it. Whether you just want to see some funny shit, me react to some videos, or you want to hear me just talk my shit, all of it's right there. If you're trying to get closer to yourself, closer to the man upstairs, all of that's right there too. You can also check me out on IG. I do all the same shit I do here, over there. It's just a little bit more, you feel me, streamlined. So, take time to be holy. The word holy does not mean goody-goody. It means set apart for sacred use. We already said a whole lot right there. Take time to be holy. The word holy does not mean goody-goody. It means set apart for sacred use. I'm just gonna go ahead and go through the whole thing because that right there, I could go on a tangent right now already. So, that is what these quiet moments in my presence are accomplishing within you. As you focus your mind and heart on me, you are being transformed, recreated into the one I designed you to be. This process requires blocks of time set aside for communion with me. The benefits of this practice are limitless. Emotional and physical healing are enhanced by your soaking in the light of my presence. You experience a nearness to me that strengthens your faith and fills you with peace. You open yourself up to receive the many blessings that I have prepared for you. You become a cleansed temple of my Holy Spirit, who is able to do in and through you immeasurably more than you ask or imagine. These are just some of the benefits of being still in my presence. And so, let's just go back to the top. Take time to be holy. The word holy does not mean goody-goody. It means set apart for sacred use. I had a teacher who told us that the only difference between a space and a sacred space was the time and attention and the way that we treat and revere it, right? And so she was saying that if you wanted to make something special or make something sacred, you needed to respect it as such first. Once you start to treat things with a certain level of respect and sacredness, your approach becomes different. The way that you interact with it becomes different. And then that interaction starts to give you different feedback, right? What you're observing becomes different. The way you feel in the moment becomes different. All because the way you choose to interact is now different. And so if something is sacred, if something is holy, it's saying that just means it's being set aside for a specific use. And so like, people will try to use the word holy in order to separate them from other people, but not for a purpose. Just to say that I'm different, or I'm the other, or I'm better, or I'm righteous. But that's not what holiness does or what holiness is for. Holiness just means set apart for a specific use, for a sacred use, right? So just because you're holy doesn't necessarily put you above other people. It doesn't necessarily make you better than other people. Like, what's wrong with you? Kenny, like for real, what's wrong with you, dog? I'm literally in here talking about connecting with being sacred and holy. And you and this bitch dropping slurs, bruh. Dropping curse words, bruh. Why? I hope you still here. So, Kenny, what is wrong with you mentally and emotionally that causes you to come into people's places and do this irrelevant shit? Why do you want to be a problem? Why do you find it funny to cause problems for people? The things that you're doing and saying could possibly get me banned, bro. Why do you want to be negative? To irritate me? I'm not even irritated. You feel me? I'm curious because I don't understand this level of pettiness. I don't understand this level of time wasting. What is going on in your heart that allows you to have this amount of animosity to even want to rage bait people? What is the point in rage baiting? Rage is a negative emotion. You're literally trying to make me enraged because you're unhappy. Because you're unhappy, you want me to be unhappy. So you're coming into my life doing things to hopefully irritate me. That is demonic. Yes, I am yapping, and I hope that it's falling on your heart and your ears and your spirit. If not, that's fine. But I'd have to say this because I am very curious as to what is going on within your life that gives you the time to want to be a hassle to other people. Why would you want to impede negativity onto someone else's life? For what? What do you gain? What do you get from this? How are you growing? How does this make you better as a person? How does this make you any money? How does this make you happy to know that people don't like you? The things that you are doing, the actions you are taking would make me not like you. So you would rather be disliked by people? Is that what you're saying? It's like you don't like yourself so much you want to get on the internet and make other people express how much they don't appreciate you as well? It's like, I don't understand. And so you saying you wanted to come on here to rage bait me and to irritate me, but really I'm just concerned about you and your mental health and well-being and your emotional health and well-being because any healthy human isn't doing that type of shit. Anybody who is happy with themselves isn't doing that type of shit. Anybody who is enjoying their life isn't doing that type of shit. So no, bro, you didn't hurt my feelings. You didn't rage bait me at all. You just made me add another person to my prayer list. I hope you find peace, big dog. I hope you find peace. But yeah, so the idea of being holy isn't necessarily separating you from being different than other people. It's not making you better than other people. The idea of holiness just means it's being set aside for a specific use and reason, right? And so one thing our teacher told us is like, if you want to treat something as if it's sacred, or if you want something to be revered as being sacred, then treat it as such, right? And this conversation partially just started because of our mats, right? And she told us like, oh, we do yoga and stretching. And she's like, yo, your yoga mat, you don't step on that with shoes on because you want to respect it, right? This whole room, we don't wear shoes in this room because we want to respect it. We don't bring food into this room because we want to respect it. We don't drink when we're in this room because we want to respect it. If we want this space to be holy, if we want this space to be sacred, we first have to treat it as such. So if you want something to be special, first you have to acknowledge it as being special, right? And so being holy doesn't mean you're better than. It just means it's being treated in a certain way for a specific use. And so people will be like, oh, holier than thou, or, oh, I just want to be in the holy presence. You don't have to be in any type of specific building for the holy presence to be there. It has nothing to do with a place. It has nothing to do with a monetary amount. It has nothing to do with a physical covering or appearance. It has everything to do with how you approach it and how you treat it. If you want a relationship to be special, treat that relationship specially. If you want someone to have a sacred place in your life, don't talk to them like everybody else. Don't treat them like everybody else. Don't present them with the same things you give to everybody else, right? And it says, take the time to be holy. And so us taking the time to be holy means that we have to, one, address ourselves, right? And then take the time to set ourselves to the side to be able to figure out how we're supposed to use ourselves, right? So if you're going to be holy, right? People want to be holy, right? People want to be considered holy, right? Most of the time when people talk about being holy or being righteous, they're talking about being seen as being holy, being just, and being right in other people's eyes, right? Nothing wrong with that. But that's not the point. The point of being holy is to be used for a specific use or be used for a specific purpose, not to be looked at by people and deemed as being holy or deemed as being good or deemed as being acceptable. That's secondary. That's secondary. The point of being holy is to be used for a specific use, to be used for a specific thing, to be used specifically to accomplish a certain feat or to accomplish a certain measure. So the more holy that you are, the holier you become, the closer that you get to being to God, the more that you're supposed to be being used to accomplish things, the more you're supposed to be being used for specific goals, specific tasks, specific criteria. You feel me? It's not just to have a certain appearance. It's not just to have a certain level of respect from people. That's all secondary. You need to be useful. That's the key. The key to holiness is being used for God's purpose. So you can be as devout as you want. You can be as mentally committed as you want. You can be as astute as you want. You can fit the appearance as much as you want. But if God is not able to use you for his actual task, for his plan, for his glory, you're not holy. You're not holy. You're not being holy, bro. Because things that are holy are also used. The Holy Spirit was sent to be used daily. The Holy Word was sent to edify daily. Specific uses that were set aside on purpose. People want to walk around and be considered righteous, be considered holy, be considered close to God, but then they don't want to do nothing. It's like they get that status, they get that respect, they get that reverence from people, and that's it. No, dog. Now that you are being revered as such, you're supposed to be useful. There's no point in having something holy if it's not being used for sacred matters. Just look at it like this, right? So if we establish a holy ground, but then the holy ground isn't treated as such, so we have parties here, people drink here, we have photo shoots here, we just hang out and talk. We just hang out and shoot the breeze in the holy space. What separates the holy space from any other neighborhood or any other spot on the block? The same goes true for you. Yes, you might be considered holy. You've received God. You received the Holy Spirit. You received Christ. You've repented of your sins. You've confessed all of your downfallings. You've recognized Jesus as King. You gave your tithes. You joined the church. but you don't want to do anything for the furtherment of God. You don't want to go do outreach. You don't want to minister to people. You don't want to talk about religion. You don't even want to talk about God. You don't want to talk about the things that you've had to repent about. You don't want to talk about the things you've recovered from. You don't want to talk about none of it. But you're holy, you chose the church, you gave your life to God, and you want everyone to respect you as being such. What good are you, dog? What good are you? If we get the same conversation out of the person who is holy as we get out of the person who's in the world, because the holy person doesn't want to be used for a specific purpose and would rather be comfortable fitting in with the rest of the world and the rest of society, you're useless and you're not holy. You're self-righteous. You're self-righteous and egotistical, and you need the approval of other people, which is why you want to be revered and respected as being devout, as being committed, and as being holy, but you're not actually living up to being used for a specific purpose. The whole point of something being considered holy, being consecrated, being set aside, is because this one fits a specific purpose, and we're going to use him for that specifically. We're going to use her for that specifically. So you're being set aside and consecrated to be considered holy so you can be used for that specific use. If you're still general use, you might as well have never been set aside. You might as well have never been consecrated. You feel me? Like, does this make sense? I hope that this makes sense. So for anybody who esteems or deems themselves to be above someone else, or to be holy, or to be set aside, or to be called out, or to be set apart, know that you're also supposed to be being used for the glory and edification of the Father. You feel me? Of his kingdom. Because that amount of holiness means you were set aside for a specific use. For a sacred use. Y'all not hearing me though. Y'all not hearing me though. Y'all don't be hearing me though. Y'all don't be hearing me though. I'm zooted in this point right now. I feel like a Super Saiyan, bro. They got me in Goku mode. Sheesh. I'm not gonna lie. I'm over here saying this to y'all, but this is revelation unto me. You feel me? This is revelation unto me. It's for myself personally. I wouldn't necessarily say I've been considered holy. A lot of people probably consider me the opposite of holy. I drink, I smoke, I fuck, I cuss. You feel me? All of that. But at the same time, I know for a fact that I've been in church since I was a child, since I was a little baby. You feel me? I've had conversations, I've had prayer meetings, I've had all types of whatever you want to call it. So this is pretty much my point right here. This is revelation to me because when I was still a child, when I was like 12, 13, I was the holy thing. You feel me? I was called to be set apart and called to be different, right? I'm nobody's preacher. I'm a vessel of the Most High. You feel me? It was what I was getting at right now. Is I'm not a preacher. I probably understand the word just as well as some preachers, as any preacher who's never gone to monastery, because I've never gone to Bible college, I've never gone to monastery, none of this at all. I'm just someone who grew up in the Christian religion and faith very heavily with the Bible in my hand since before I knew how to read. You feel me? So as soon as I became literate, one of the first books I was reading on a regular basis was the Bible, partially due to boredom from being at church for 8 hours, which is what I was getting to right now about saying how this is edifying unto me. So you read the Bible and understand it? Yes. I read the Bible and understand it. Do I always understand on the initial read? No. Have I always understood? No. But that's why I have the level of understanding I do now, because I started reading the Bible when I was like 8 years old. You feel me? By the time that I was 10 is what I was getting to with the whole sacred and holy thing. I was set aside by our own ministers, our own pastors, and told that I was supposed to be stepping into ministry as an adult, right? Or at some point in my life. When I was 13 or 14, I was invited to do my first sermon. I actually wrote a whole sermon. I had a whole message ready. And because of scheduling and timing, my schedule got pushed back, and then it ultimately got rescheduled, and then it never happened, right? But since I was 13 or 14 years old, I was called to the realm of ministry, right? Which brings me to my point right now of being holy. Something being holy means it was being set aside for a specific use. And if you're not being used, then you might as well not be holy. You feel me? The consecration and the being used for something is specific and for a point. And so why I said this is so edifying to me is because I was consecrated as a young nigga to step into ministry, right? And it's like, I didn't fully understand this, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so the older that I'm getting, and I'm realizing like, yo, I was assigned Bible verses and chapters as a kid that I was supposed to read every day. You feel me? Like, I was reading the Bible before school when I was in 3rd grade, bro. And it wasn't because I was just doing it. I was literally assigned specific books and chapters that I was supposed to execute by certain points in time, right? And so as a 10-year-old, you don't understand this, bruh. You're just reading. But as I'm getting older, I'm realizing there's a certain point and purpose that's supposed to be served through all of this, right? And so if I had that amount of being called and that amount of being set aside as a 10-year-old, I'm realizing that as a 30-year-old, that means I have to be useful for something specific. I'm not supposed to just be outside. You feel me? I'm not supposed to just be doing shit, right? I'm not supposed to just be saying certain things, because if I am, the holiness is null and void. That consecration didn't matter. If you're not being used for a specific use, it doesn't matter. I can be as close to God as I want to be. I can have the greatest relationship between me and him, but I am not sacred and I'm not holy if I'm not using any of this information. If I'm not using any of this information to better other people or for a specific purpose. You feel me? What you mean you didn't read the room? You ain't say nothing bad. Oh, you wanted to join as a guest? I mean, hey, you could join as a guest if you ain't got nothing to say. Just you feel me? You don't got to speak. But yeah, I was just talking about the idea of being holy and being sacred. And then somebody asked me if I was a preacher myself. And it's like, technically, no. Spiritually, yes, I've been called. I've known this since I was yay high. Literally, like I said, we had when I was like 12 or 13, we had a special church service. We had, some people call it a ceremony, some people call it a ritual. You feel me? This is another reason why I took a step back out of the church, because a lot of the things that we do in Christianity fall under a ritualistic nature, right? And if you follow what Jesus said that he was the last sacrifice and he was the last atonement. So like some of the like taking the blood of Christ and eating a cracker and like that, like these are ritualistic practices, right? Which I'm not 100% sure how much God condones it, right? So I stepped away from being considered a Christian, but prior to then, I was already called, consecrated, and to a certain extent ordained to step into ministry. I never actually went to ministry school. I never actually went and received a formal religious education, but I've been studying religion since I was about 8 years old, from the sense of reading the Bible, right? And getting different interpretations and iterations of it and different versions of it. You feel me? It's like the King James Bible, the New Living Translation Bible, the American Translation Bible, the Complete Jewish Bible, like the Living Word translation. Like literally there's so many different translations, and I've read bits and pieces and parts of all of these different translations. And the King James version of the Bible, I probably read the whole thing of it, right? The complete Jewish version of the Bible, I probably read at least 50% of it, right? And so it's like I compare the King James version to the complete Jewish version, and then I'll go and read the actual original Hebrew text and not read the Hebrew text verbatim, but I'll go find what the Hebrew breaks down into and then break each word. I've taken a whole passage and broken each word down into the original Hebrew and Greek and the original Latin just to understand that passage before, you feel me? And so it's like, as I get older, I understand that this level of use isn't given to everybody because not everyone cares and not everyone has the understanding to even be able to digest all of this, right? Partially because it's hard to understand. But starting off as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old who didn't read or who didn't understand the Bible is like, bruh, I literally have watched over time where my understanding grew with my age just because I didn't know shit, right? Or I had to go look up something in the dictionary and I had to go learn something. So I understand that it's possible to know what's going on, but you have to have a certain level of want to even understand it, right? And so, yes, I've read parts of the Ethiopian Bible. I haven't read the actual full thing, but I've read passages from other scriptures that are also in the Ethiopian Bible, and then other books that have been removed from the Bible that are still in the Ethiopian Bible. I've read bits and pieces of those, like the Book of Enoch and the stories of the Watchers and stuff like that. I haven't read the full scriptures on them, but before I even was aware of the fact you could still get the full scriptures, I was finding out about the stories and the locations and all of that good stuff. You feel me? Like who Enoch was, the genealogy of Enoch, the lineage of Enoch. You feel me? How is he connected to Noah? What came before? What came after? All of that good stuff. Yeah, we've been through that rabbit hole. We've been down that rabbit hole. And then for other people who might get on here and wonder, is like, yes, I was raised very, very, very heavily Christian, and I was consecrated to step into ministry. When I was in college, I completely denounced all of that shit. I said, is God real? Don't know. Ain't never seen a nigga. You feel me? Did Jesus really die for my sins? Don't know. Haven't talked to him myself in a minute. You feel me? And I was like, look, at the end of the day, I'm 20. I ain't about to die no time soon. And if God really want this to work the way he says it's supposed to, nigga, show me. You feel me? It's like, look, show me something. Which is actually kind of bad. As it says, you should not challenge God, right? But to a certain extent, I kind of challenged God, where I was like, look, bruh, if I'm supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm supposed to know you real and you true, show me. You feel me? Until I have a personal experience that proves to me that God is real or Jesus is real, or like one of these niggas answers my prayer directly or in real time or something, look, man, I'm not going to say these niggas don't exist, but I'm going to stop living my life in a way that denies me pleasures of the physical that I feel bad about, i.e. fornicating, debauchery, being very inebriated, stuff like that. Whereas like I would do them and then I would feel self-conscious about the behaviors I was exhibiting because I knew it went against what I thought I should be doing, right? And so because of those reasons, I denounced the idea of there even being a God until he proved it. All because I just wanted to go fuck on some little white girls and get drunk. That's literally it. You feel me? I denied the existence of God because I didn't want to feel guilty about my behavior. Let me say that again. I denied the existence of God because I didn't want to feel guilty about my behavior. Even though at the heart of me, I knew my behavior wasn't for my best benefit or edification. What the fuck? You feel me? And so at that point in time, I started reading more books. I was already studying yoga and meditation due to classes. And I see, what you want, push-ups, crunches, or squats. And so at this point in time, I was studying yoga and meditation already, right? And so with that being said, I started reading up on Taoism. And when I had been in elementary school, I had done a full research paper. It was supposed to be a group paper, right? And this is one thing about me. I like things being done. I like things being done right. So, and we was in, 6th grade, we got assigned, we did a world religions project. We did every fucking world religion and we broke up into groups to do it. We were supposed to all cover specific parts of the religion, right? Whether it was the history, whether it's traditions, whether it's rituals, celebrations, whatever the case may be, right? I believe it was like 7 parts to the project, right? My ass ended up doing like 5 out of 7. Why? Because my friends were ass. You feel me? It was one of these group projects where you low-key get to pick the group and you low-key get assigned. So half the group was picked, half the group was assigned. You feel me? The whole group was fucking ass. It was only 3 people who were willing to actually do anything. Not only did I do the research for it all, I actually wrote most of it. So, back to the overall point. We did world religions. My religion was Buddhism. I covered 5 out of 7 topics on Buddhism and how it even came to its origins and what it stood for. You feel me? So before I was even 18, I had a pretty decent understanding of the beliefs of Buddhism, right? So now I'm in college. I was raised heavily Christian. I grew up in the church. So I understand the religious doctrine of Christianity. And now I understand the belief system of Buddhism. And then I get to college, I start studying yoga and meditation, right? And then I completely deny Christianity and I start reading about Taoism. I start reading about Taoism, bruh, with this background in Buddhism already. And so now my mind is getting opened and expanded, right? And so now I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck is what, right? And then I just start cross-comparing things across different places, right? And I start reading this book that starts talking to me about energy, starts talking to me about the lost city of Atlantis. And I'm like, whoa, hold on 1 second, right? And then I start realizing that the Torah is just the first half of the Bible. So half of Judaism is based off of the same thing as half of Christianity, right? And so it's just, I just started comparing all of these different things in all of these different texts. And I didn't compare them to say this is true or this is false or this one's better or this one's right. It was more so like, let me read all of these and figure out where the through lines are so I can see how stories have been turned and convoluted, right? And then if you just think about the idea that Jesus was a Jew, you feel me? He was a consecrated practicing Jew, but he wasn't telling people to be Jewish or to be Jews, right? But he also was not a fucking Christian. And this is something right here that grinds my gears so hard. People preach about Jesus so hard and tell people they should believe in him, be like him, want it all X, Y, and Z. But they can only do it through Christianity. Jesus was not a Christian. Jesus was not a Christian. How are we telling people that in order to become closer to the Father and to become closer to the Son, they have to become something that the Son never was? Somebody answer that for me, please. Somebody, please, make that make sense to me. In order to be closer to and more like Christ, you're telling me I have to become something he never was. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I won't buy it. I don't want it. I don't want it. But he also wasn't telling people to be Jews. He also wasn't telling people to be Jews. Nothing wrong with being Jewish. But Jesus did not come to teach a religion or a doctrine. He came to teach a way of being. He came to teach a mindset. He came to teach a heart posture. And it just went over so many people's heads. It went over so many people's heads because they need titles, they need names, they need rules, they need lists in order to feel as if they're doing it right. Very crazy. And so I guess the overall point of me saying all of that I just said is to say, like, yes, I speak on things from what is seeming to be a very Christian viewpoint and lens, but it's coming from a higher understanding of the fact that Christianity was based off of a man who was a practicing Jew who never told anyone to join any religion. And now if you claim to be Christian, you tell people that they must be a Christian, and the man the religion is based off of was never a Christian. So it just doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense. I don't think so. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a young man who was consecrated to step into ministry who never became an ordained preacher. And likes to read books. So look, if you rocking, you rocking. If you feel this, you feel this. If you hear me, you hear me. If not, keep it pushing. Because I ain't trying to tell nobody what to do or who to be. I'm just expanding thought processes and trying to get people to understand the fallacies and the things that we believe and get told, right? But yeah, that's one that is one of the biggest eye openers to me. Is like Jesus didn't tell anybody to become a Christian. He didn't tell anybody to become a Jew. He told everybody, oh, I got you. My bad, Dills. I'm low-key forgetting. And it ain't 50. You ain't doing sets of 50. You do sets of 15. You do a set of 15. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Let me type these. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ooh. All right, so for those of you just getting back here, I forgot to say, for every 1,000 likes, I got a set for y'all. Whether there's gonna be some push-ups, some crunches, or some squats, y'all go ahead and let me know. Let me know what we doing. She said drop and give me 50. I just assumed push-ups because you ain't specify. But yeah, man. Just rock with me. If anything I said so far has hit home or stuck with you, just keep rocking, because I'm just tangenting right now. We're just going on a tangent. All right. Oh, y'all nigga legs hurt. I be sitting too much is really what it is. Oh, wait. Y'all hear that? Here's something else. So, fun fact, I'm blasphemous as fuck right now. Why do I say that? Do you see these things around my neck? What are they? They're crosses. Wow, they're religious, aren't they? They're part of the Christian faith and doctrine, aren't they? So we say, but should they be? Hell motherfucking no, bro. Because look, first off, let's just see this. What happened with these? We know that Jesus was what? Hung on what? One of these, a cross. Just look at this right now. Say you got a homie, you got a best friend, right? Your best friend, we're not even gonna put him on the same extent as Jesus. Your best friend was robbed and smacked up, right? You say let's say he was smacked up with, let's just say a cross. Pretend that these don't have the religious meaning and background that they do, right? Let's pretend your homie got beat with one of these, a wooden one that was about this big. Just pretend you had a friend who got beat with two 2x4s that were put together in the shape of a cross. And you know he got beat with it. You saw the black eye, you saw the broken bones, and he got robbed. Let's say he got robbed for 20,000. Your homie got robbed for 20 bands and beat with this 2x4 shaped like this. And the next time you pull up to talk to him, you got one around your neck. Hey, what up, bruh? This nigga gonna look down like, nigga, is this a joke? Are you trying to be funny? Is this supposed to be funny? You know these niggas robbed me and beat me with one of those last week. Why the fuck do you got one around your neck when you come in to greet me? Matter of fact, I'm taking this off now, bro. I'm taking these off now. I didn't buy these. I did not buy these. I don't really buy cross stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I do sell jewelry, and I had some cross jewelry, and I just figured, people like crosses, right? Me personally, the closer that I got to understanding the actual word in the Bible, the less I wore crosses. Because first off, it says we're not really supposed to wear jewelry, right? And then we're also not supposed to have idols, right? We're not supposed to worship figures of stuff, right? So people will put Jesus on this and say it's supposed to be a remembrance of him. Why would he want to be reminded of the fact that he was unjustly beat and killed and then hung up as a public display like it was funny? Why would I show up to my best friend and remind him of how he was brutally betrayed? Why would I do that? I wouldn't. Let's just be real about it. You wouldn't, right? But then in the Bible, it also says that we should not have idols. We should not have figures, and we should not worship them. People put an image of a man on one of these and then put it up and tell us to pray to it. Put it up and tell us to talk to it. Put it up and tell us to revere it. Nigga, if you follow what Jesus Christ and the Christianity that the Bible is supposed to be professing, it would completely tell you to take down every single cross and never wear one again. Because he didn't want us to have a symbol. He didn't want us to praise or worship an actual piece of something. Images of bronze and silver. That's what the fuck is going on when you put Jesus Christ on this cross and then put it on and then you kiss up to it and you raise it to the sky and shit like that. That's not what he wanted. And so I honestly feel bad about myself right now because at one point in time, I was selling jewelry that had crosses on it. But I didn't wear crosses. Those were Christmas presents given to me last year. It's the first time I had worn a cross around my neck since I was in middle school. Once I got older and I read the Bible and it literally tells us not to have images. What the fuck is that? People say it's supposed to represent Christ. But why would I take something that was used completely against him in order to represent him? Like I said, imagine that the cross doesn't hold the significance it does to us right now. But imagine you had a best friend who got beat by somebody using a 2x4 that was stapled together like this, right? And they whooped that nigga and stole all his bread. And the next time you seen him, you pulled up with a 2x4 on. What? Bro, that's blatant disrespect. You do not care about my struggle. You do not care about my injustice. You do not care about, you feel me? So yeah, as Christians, I feel like every Christian should take off any piece of cross jewelry they have. Any crosses in churches should be taken out. You feel me? It's like we're not supposed to worship images of anything. We're not supposed to have idols to worship at all. And Jesus would not want to be reminded of his death every single time he comes around. What? But y'all don't hear me though. I was like, oh, the cross is right. It's the upside down cross. No, bro, Jesus was never for the cross. Yes, I have a nose ring. I'm not over here just saying take off all your jewelry. I mean, if we really want to jump into that, we could jump into that for real too. I believe, is it the New Testament or the Old Testament though? And see, this is why I don't jump into stuff like this, because I know of the sentiment, but I don't know the full backing of it. So I don't know if that started in the Old Testament or started in the New Testament. But talking about jewelry, makeup, all of that's considered witchcraft. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. I didn't tell, what are you talking about? How about this, Didal? Listen to what's being said. You see, I just had crosses on my neck, and during the live, what did I do? I took them off and I threw them on the ground in order to not be a hypocrite. You feel me? I'm not coming here to preach to people. This was me doing a live conversation and just ranting free flow off the top of my brain. That's it, that's all. And in my ranting, this is where we ended up at. So if you feel as if I'm being a hypocrite, so be it. If you don't like it, leave. But please just listen to what's actually being said, because I'm not putting anybody down. I'm trying to spread the actual news and the message of what's in the Bible. Someone asked me if I was a preacher. I said no. I said I'm a kid who was ordained to step into ministry, who's been reading the Bible since I was about 6 years old. So I have a better understanding than a lot of people because I actually didn't understand it at first myself. So I asked a lot of questions, right? That was what I was getting at. And my point with the cross is that a lot of people wear jewelry and crosses and think that they're doing something to represent Christ, when ultimately Christ would have told us to not even have a cross on our neck. How that makes me a hypocrite, I don't know. But if the shoe still fits, I'll fucking wear it. Whatever. And yes, I have a nose ring. I wear jewelry. I sell jewelry. I literally sell jewelry. My point was, I no longer sell jewelry with crosses on them. People trying to come in here and just come at motherfuckers so hard. Like, you don't even know what the topic is. Do you feel called out? Do you feel called out? I think that's what it is. Something I said hit home. It hit home. And instead of accepting accountability, you want to tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing, which is fine. I'll take all of the suggestions, and you know where I'll put them? I got a black box where suggestions go. I don't really give a fuck. I think it's best you know. Who said that? Whose line is it anyways? Was that A, Kanye West? Was it B, Lil Wayne? Or was it C, Drake? I got a black box where suggestions go, but I don't really give a fuck. I think it's best you know. Who said it? Whose line is it anyway? I can't really help it. The music is just a part of me. The lyrics is always in my head, you feel me? And you know, we just segued very hard. We went from talking about Jesus Christ to talking about Drake and Lil Wayne. You right, it was Drizzy. It was Drizzy. Are you a Drake fan? Did you actually know that or you just guess? Well, you see, you got me completely off of what I was even talking about. And that's how you know the devil be working. And that's how you know, because you came in here and said, stop being a hypocrite and didn't even stay to actually hear the conversation. You feel me? Just was trying to condemn somebody because you didn't want to listen. You wasn't paying attention. It's cool. It's cool. You feel me? This is a holy place. This is a holy place. It's been set aside for a specific use, and the specific use is to be able to reach the hearts of men. And when I say the hearts of men, I mean mankind, which is women as well, because the word man is in the word woman. What are we talking about? Mankind. All right. We're gonna take it down a bit. You got me worked up. You got me flustered. Got me slightly flustered. It's okay though. Sometimes I crack myself up. Really, right now I'm dying over what I just looked like when I said flustered. Oh God. All right. Where are we at? So this book right here is called Rhythm Alchemy in Search of the Philosopher's Stone. Wasn't really planning on reading it out loud. Actually, let's start with something else. We're gonna start with a different one. Oh, we're gonna start with this. Seeking the Heart of Wisdom. Seeking the Heart of Wisdom. The Path to Insight Meditation, right? So there are different types of meditation. This one is insight meditation. And I don't really use bookmarks. I just fold pages. Some people hate that. They say it ruins the book. It's not your book. Oh, there's our last corner. We are on page 83. So, I'm trying to get this corner floated back up so I don't come back to the same page by accident. Let's see. The Buddha saw that in this world of samsara, of constant appearing and disappearing, being born and dying, there was great suffering. Craving, the builder of this house of suffering, the mind and body, was discovered. The defilements of mind, the rafters, were broken. The force of ignorance, the ridge pole, was shattered, and thus the Buddha realized nirvana, the unconditioned. It is said the path to nirvana, the eightfold path, is a silent vehicle like a chariot that drives smoothly and gracefully without emitting squeaks and clatter. The people who ride on this chariot, however, those who have realized the truth, may be quite noisy. They are noisy in their songs of praise for this vehicle and for the completion of their journey. That's very interesting. Let me buy that ceiling. Buy the ceiling? All right, give me your offer. What the fuck? And so that's very interesting because it's saying that the path to nirvana, which is considered the eightfold path, is like a vehicle, but more like a chariot that moves smoothly and gracefully and silently. But the people who have found the path to nirvana move noisily in their sounds of praise for the vehicle. I can believe that. You feel me? I can believe that. One, if you find the path to nirvana and enlightenment, Of course you're about to be happy. You gonna wish everybody could do this. You gonna wish everybody could find their path to enlightenment. And so of course you're gonna be noisy. You're like, hey y'all, come over here and look at this. Yo, you see I found da-da-da-da. You feel me? Because it's saying that the path itself is quiet. The path itself is a silent vehicle. It's waiting to be found, turned on, and driven. So the people who find it and drive in that vehicle and find the path to enlightenment have to be the ones to speak up and be noisy about it in order to tell other motherfuckers to get over here and get on the bus. And the Theravada, I don't know what those are. All right, collections of enlightenment verses of early monks and nuns, we often find the refrain, done is what had to be done. In attaining the great enlightenment, but his sattva experienced the completion and fulfillment of his long journey, a fulfillment of the potential shared by all human beings. He had become the Buddha, the awakened one. He spent the next 7 weeks in the area of the Bodhi tree, contemplating different aspects of the truth. He had completed his own journey of liberation, and now he wondered whether it was possible to share the profound Dharma he had realized with others, blinded as they were by their attachments. 2 points. First, that's actually interesting, but that's not what I'll reread this. So the first thing I wanted to get at is it just said, after the Buddha became awakened, the awakened one, he spent 7 weeks in the area of the Bodhi tree, right? And so when it comes to Buddha and when it comes to Jesus Christ, they have 2 things in common. One, they both ascended, right? They both ascended the realm of what we consider the regular human condition. 2, they both meditated for 40 days and 40 nights. And Jesus was in the wilderness. Buddha was somewhere in the middle of the woods underneath the tree, right? So I just think it's very interesting that these 2 enlightened spiritual leaders spent 40 days away from society and meditating and fasting. You feel me? And it's like, there has to be some truth to the idea of removing yourself from the outside world and noise and refraining from drinking and eating anything for extended periods of time. They say that one of the quickest ways to become connected or closer to God is to sustain from taking in external things. Food, water, drink, noise, sound, all of it, right? I just think that's really interesting. Now, can I go sit under a tree for 40 days? I'm gonna need to eat. Oh, according to legend, a celestial being, a Brahma god, came down from the highest heaven realm and urged the Buddha to teach the Dharma for the welfare of all beings, out of compassion for all beings. He asked the Buddha to survey the world with his eye of wisdom, stating that there were many beings with but little dust in their eyes who would be able to hear and understand the truth. So what he's saying is that there aren't that many people who don't have a whole lot of BS already convoluting their mind and their eyesight and their ears for him to actually be able to talk to. So they urged him to actually go out and speak to people because the amount of people who were even going to be able to hear it and understand it was so minuscule that he was necessary. And this is something else that's very interesting, is people talk about Buddha and they don't realize like Buddha is a title. There were multiple Buddhas. We just speak about one Buddha predominantly that we know of the most, but there were multiple Buddhas. You feel me? Just like the word Christ isn't a name. His name wasn't Jesus Christ. Christ is not his last name. Christ is a title that denotes a certain level of reference for his place, right? The same way as we have a priest and you call the priest Father, you call the Father John, Jesus Christ,